If you have infinite bandwidth and it's very low cost, everybody wants to connect to you. If everybody's connecting to you, you can monetize that. So don't try to figure out how to monetize it first and then squeeze blood out of the turnip. Get to the point where everybody's going through you and then take off. That's how every internet scale company, at Facebook, at Google, and Amazon, they all got there the same way.
Hi, I'm Craig Matsumoto with Light Reading. I'm here with J.R. Rivers of Cumulus Networks. J.R., good to see you.
Hey Craig, good to see you.
Now, you guys make a network operating system for white box switches, but you've got some recent news with the Telecom Infra project and Facebook. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so as you pointed out, Facebook, we have a great partnership with them. Is through Open Compute project as well as the Telecom Infra project. They take hardware that they develop internally and some software and kind of give it to the industry to figure out how it can be leveraged in interesting ways that are outside of Facebook. And they reached out to us about this project called Voyager. It's a platform that combines IP and switching and routing technology as well as long-haul optical transport technology into one physical platform in a very kind of inexpensive form factor. And they asked us to support the platform so that they had a commercially available, high-grade, widely deployed OS that people could leverage and go to market.
Now, I associate you guys with Layer 2, with packet switches. Do you do much on the optical side of Voyager?
Yeah, so Cumulus Networks, we do a ton of, you said switching in Layer 2, but actually we do Layer 3, SDN.
Right, yeah.
We're kind of super embedded in all aspects of networking, including MPLS. And so we'll think of that as the IP side of the Voyager platform.
Okay.
The optical side of the Voyager platform, the fact that they're kind of combined together gave us an opportunity to reimagine how people think of those boxes. Traditionally, people would say, I have a router and I have an optical debarkation point. And so these are two very separate beasts. When we put them together, you realize that, hey, I can just take that optical interface and think of it as just another port on a switch or a router, but I can program the wavelength and I can change the color of the light, maybe do some multiplexing or speed management. So that's the way we treat it. So they're just another port that just has a few other characteristics.
So what's it like working with the telecom world? How into the disaggregation thing are they?
The telecom providers have been talking with us about disaggregation since we came on board and woke up. They feel that there's something there, but I don't think they understand how to tame that beast. It's easy to look at technology like Voyager and put it in the context of telecoms, but what you recognize is there's also a great opportunity for researchers to leverage it to provide kind of infinite bandwidth for data exchange and research networks. And so we have a huge uptake in that particular market right now.
So what kind of advice do you have for telcos who want to try disaggregation? Like what good does this do them?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I was recently speaking with someone who is a CTO for an international telco, and he told me, hey, in 2025, these are my plans for the company. This is where I want the company to be. And I would say they were interesting ideas, but they weren't game-changing. They weren't kind of visceral, and I would argue they weren't enough when they look at who these people are competing against today. And I speculated to him a slightly different model. I said, what if your goal in 2025 was for your base business to cost you absolutely zero to run? And he looked at me really funny. He said, what do you mean by that? I'm like, well, what's your base business? He goes, well, we provide transport of data, whether it's mobile data, company to company data, all the data we transfer, we just move it around. I'm like, great. What if that cost you nothing?
Okay.
I said, that doesn't cost you nothing today. He says, no, we have huge OpEx around all that. Well, what if your goal was to drive that to zero? He said, why would we do that? I said, look at Google, right? Search was how, especially when they started off, that's how people interacted with Google. Right. And as a company, they were, crazy focused on driving the cost of search to zero and the scale of search to almost infinity.
Okay.
So why don't you do the same thing? Why don't you drive to infinite bandwidth for free to operate? Now that gives you as a business the ability to decide how you want to monetize in that construct. if you have infinite bandwidth, inevitably people in this mobile world, they want to connect. They want to watch their movies. They want to use Instagram. They want to see cat videos, right? This is what they do. And so in that world, if you have infinite bandwidth and it's very low cost, everybody wants to connect to you. If everybody's connecting to you, you can monetize that. So don't try to figure out how to monetize it first and then squeeze blood out of the turnip. Get to the point where everybody's going through you and then take off. That's how every internet scale company, a Facebook, a Google, and Amazon, they all got there the same way. So I posited to this particular telco, why don't you take that same strategy?
Oh, it's very interesting. I like that strategy. So is Voyager available now? Like, when can I put one in my kitchen?
Well, I'm not sure your kitchen could handle one, but anyways.
I got big plans, you know.
Nice. You got a big house, evidently. So you got to have me over for a barbecue, right?
I make a journalist's salary. But
Oh, okay, fair deal. So anyways, it's an engineering project right now. Facebook is rolling the latest revision of the hardware off the presses to, kind of as we speak, and we're getting those, they're in flight in the mail. We're engaging some alpha grade customers right now with just, really getting our heads wrapped around the user interface and, how they want to think about that programmable, light on the port and how it would all work out. We expect to market early next year, first quarter, January, February, with ADVA, who's our go-to-market partner.
Oh, okay.
So you can't buy it today, can't give it to you today, but early next year you should be able to get access to one of these things and take off with it.
Well, JR, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Craig. It was great talking with you.